Returning to our developing story on the flood crisis in the central west of New South Wales, let's go live to Chief Superintendent Ashley Sullivan in Condobolin for an update. When will flooding in Condobolin peak?
Yeah, good morning. So we are here in Condobolin where the river height currently is 7.3 metres and we're predicting, or the Bureau rather, are predicting a height of 7.8 metres, which is major flooding and record flooding for this town. So we're closely watching the river levels as they head towards that peak in the coming days along the Lachlan River. So a lot of water in the surrounding communities pushing out into rural areas. Which is causing significant isolation of some of these properties that in some instances have been isolated now for months and will remain isolated for some time. So a big effort by New South Wales SES to make sure that we've got our network in place, our volunteers in place to ensure that, you know, we're getting mail out to these residents, we're getting some fresh food and some fresh milk and bread out to these isolated properties, and making sure that they've got the essential medicines and getting back to their medical appointments, necessary medical appointments if needed. So a huge effort in supporting these communities across Western and Southern New South Wales at the moment.
Can you give us a little bit of an insight into how many SES staff and volunteers on the ground helping in what is a very difficult situation?
Yeah, so to put it into perspective, at the moment, we have significant flooding across large parts of Western and Southern New South Wales. There's major flood warnings right up from the Walgett, Collarenebri area, right down to Burke along the Darling River system. Down south on the Murrumbidgee around Hay, we've got that major flood peak. On the Murray River at Moama, we've got significant flooding, long-term flooding down there, and obviously the Lachlan River and many other rivers. We've got hundreds of New South Wales SES volunteers 24 hours a day rotating through from North Coast, the Sydney metropolitan area, and all on the East Coast out to these communities. We've got great support from our partner emergency services. We've got the Australian Defence Force all over the place assisting us and assisting these communities. We've reached out across Australia for support, and even this week we're very fortunate to have international support with New Zealand and Singapore sending crews over. So this is a huge event for New South Wales, significant impact that is unfortunately going to be here for a while to come. Our planning is heading out with rostering through Christmas, New Year and into the new calendar year. So a long way to go with these flooding yet.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's often in crisis that you see the best in humanity, and you're in a perfect position to have observed and to continue to observe some of the lengths that people are going to help out, particularly in a volunteering capacity.
Yeah, that's right. Our volunteers in the SES are fantastic. They're digging deep at the moment. They train for a long time, in the quiet times for these disasters. As unfortunate as that sounds, they're out here making the most of their training and supporting these communities. So a lot of work I've seen in the town here at Condobolin. There's a significant levee bank system that's been created in the last couple of weeks to support this community and protect homes in the township to make sure that water hopefully doesn't inundate these properties like what we've seen in Forbes, for example, upstream of Condobolin on the Lachlan River. So I understand that there was a big community effort to get out and support the sandbagging efforts and this levee construction. Which is great to see, not only from the volunteer perspective, but the community getting out and volunteering their time to protect their community.
You were saying before that you've got rostering through Christmas and beyond. How long will these communities in the Central West be impacted for, do you think?
Yeah, so with no further rainfall, which unfortunately is not the case with La Nina predicted to stick around a little bit longer, some of these flooding with the waters as they progress downstream will take months to recede and travel all the way into that Murray-Darling River system and then down into South Australia. So with no further rainfall as it currently stands, out to the end of this calendar year into January, we'll still see some flooding. But then it's really dependent on what weather we do experience. We are, for example, expecting thunderstorms later this afternoon and tomorrow, which, as you know, will just top up some of these rivers and these creeks and keep the flooding levels high. And then we're obviously watching the weather and working closely with the Bureau of Meteorology to to understand, what the next weather system is and what the consequence of that rainfall is on the current saturated ground and significant flooding that we're already experiencing.
Are there any snippets of positivity in the forecast from the Bureau?
Well, hopefully after we get through this weekend, we're expecting those strong winds, the thunderstorms and some showers across already flooded areas. And then hopefully a couple of days of benign weather and obviously, this La Nina, hopefully when that dissipates and we get back to those neutral weather conditions and we can start to see these rivers drain. So, but, regardless of what weather falls, regardless of the flooding, the New South Wales SES will continue to support these communities, making sure that they've got access to the outside world, particularly these rural properties and farmers, which have been, as I said, isolated in some cases for months already. So, the stress, the isolation of feeling that these farmers and these rural properties would be experiencing, I can't imagine. So we're there to support these communities. We do ask them not to take any risks, not to ask their friends and family to take risks in getting out to their property, but contact the New South Wales SES for 132 500 or 000 if it ever becomes life critical.
Thanks for coming on the program.
Thank you.